Have you ever been on a diet, lost weight, gained more energy and improved your health, only to eventually revert back to your original habits and gain all the weight back? I have. Have you ever lost a significant amount of weight, vowed and declared you were never, ever going to regain it, only for that very thing to happen? I have. Have you ever felt guilty when cheating on your diet? Oh Lord, yes, I have. Have you ever experienced hunger, deprivation, mood swings, social isolation because you were on a diet? I have. Have you ever had pain in your body, felt tired, overwhelmed, drained and exhausted, and knew that if you could just actually clean up some of your nutrition, drink more water and do some exercise, you'd feel a whole lot better, but you just couldn't get it together to do that? Well, I haven't had that problem, but I have worked with loads of people who actually have. Hi, I'm Loretta Ferrucci, teacher, speaker, homeopath, and creator of the Ditch Diets for Good program. I help people lose weight, improve their health, and get high vitality by reprogramming their minds so that they can change their habits for life. Maybe you've starved yourself because you overate the day before, or you binged on junk food. Maybe you've punished yourself by calling yourself lazy for having hesitated or sabotaged or procrastinated a diet. I've done that too. Despite having a high value on health, and I'm in the health business, I'm in the business of helping unhealthy people get healthier, but despite having a high value on it, and despite actually having good nutrition habits, exercising regularly, drinking a lot of water, sleeping enough, trying to regulate and control my stress, I have found myself having yo-yo weight issues for most of my life. From the age of 11, I've tried various diet programs, detox programs, supplements, meal replacements, you name it, I've tried it. The only things I haven't tried are prescription medications and over-the-counter appetite suppressants. My healthy lifestyle has resulted in great energy and very good health, despite the excess weight. But I hated the fact that I still somehow felt like I was a slave to food. In my practice, I've also been frustrated because when people are unwell, they're motivated to change their lifestyles in order to regain their health. But once their health is regained, it's like they lose the motivation, and slowly over time, they tend to revert back to their original habits, and then they often get sick again. And then there are those that just find adopting new habits too overwhelming, and therefore they actually retard their progress and their wellness. Another frustration is the plethora of nutritional advice out there. I mean, there's a new nutritional program or guru or health expert just about under every rock. And I have a high value on this, and I'm in the business, and I have a high value on learning, and even I'm overwhelmed by it. And part of the problem is that a lot of the information is so conflicting. So by 2009, I'd had enough. I'd had enough of starving myself, of eating foods that I disliked, and generally being told what to eat and not eat. I decided that I was never going on a diet again. I didn't care if it took me 20 years to lose the weight. I was going to find a solution that was lasting and empowering, rather than one that set me up for failure and left me feeling ashamed of myself when I wasn't able to actually see it through. I wanted to reconnect to the innate intelligence that I know resides in my body and find out what was right for me specifically. So I read books, I attended seminars, I experimented on myself, and I came to the realization that food actually wasn't the problem. And if food wasn't the problem, then the answer didn't lie in food either. I've always had an overriding interest in the mind-body connection, so I then set off to learn everything I could about how our minds affect our bodies, our health, and our weight. And during this time, I learned from a mentor and teacher, Dr. John Demartini, and he introduced me to the concept of values. And values are not morals or ethics, they're areas in which we prioritize, or towards which we prioritize resources: time, energy, money, effort, thought, speech, and intent. And we all have a hierarchy. We have them arranged from most important to least important. And in high value areas, we're disciplined, we're focused, we're committed, we're organized, and we are prepared to do what it takes in order to get results. We're prepared to pay the price in order to get the goods. But in a lower value area, we want the goods, but we don't want to pay the price. So in a low value area, that's like going into a store, taking an item off a shelf, and walking out of the store without paying for it, right? That's not on. In fact, that's called a crime. So what I realized was that people with high value on health, they are the ones who seem to already be implementing the healthy lifestyle habits. And people with a low value on health are the ones who are carrying the excess weight, are tired and potentially have signs and symptoms associated with chronic diseases or lifestyle conditions. I discovered that I do have a value on health, well, because that's what I do for a living, but that's why it was relatively easy for me to implement those healthy habits. However, I was still sitting with the weight. I also did some more work on subconscious agendas and how your subconscious affects your physiology, and that certainly helped, but I was still having a bit of a struggle. So I knew the answers were inside me, I just didn't have a key to unlock those answers. So then I thought, okay, well, I'm going to look into what do naturally slim people do. I don't think they eat the same foods, but they must have habits in common. And what I discovered is that naturally slim people do have basic habits in common. And those are that they eat only when they're physically hungry, that they eat whatever they feel like eating, and that they generally eat at a measured pace, and that they stop when they've had enough. So I thought, okay, that's interesting. So how can I make that valuable? So let me just go back to values for a little bit. If you have a low value on health, does that mean you're doomed? Well, no, of course not. But what it does mean is you have to do a master sales job to your mind to give you a big enough, good enough reason to actually be motivated internally to apply those new health habits. So what I mean by that is, if you want to, let's say you want to exercise, right? If I say you need to exercise 3 times a week, let's assume that you've come to me and I've given you that advice. And if I say to you how exercising 3 times a week is going to improve your health, but health's not a value, that's not a motivator. But if you've got a high value on growing your business, growing your fortune and managing money and having a close relationship with your partner, for example, your spouse, then the question is, how is doing that exercise going to get you growth in your business, more money that you can manage more effectively, and more closeness or intimacy with your partner? Because those are the things that you already value. The converse also has to be applied. If you don't actually implement these changes, then what are the consequences going to be? The negative consequences going to be to the growth of your business, to your money and how you manage it, and your intimate or close relationships. So that process starts resetting your mind, and that's how someone with a low value on health can actually start implementing healthy habits, provided that they get sold effectively to the mind. Right. So now back to the habits of naturally slim people. So I thought, okay, so there are these 4 things that naturally slim people do. They eat only when they're physically hungry, they eat whatever they want, they eat slowly, and they stop when they've had enough. And I now know that we can actually change values. So I thought, how could we take those habits and actually make them values for people? And that really was the birth of what I call the 5 magic moves. You probably can't see them very clearly, but they're written up behind me. The first magic move is focusing on the why. It's focusing on those consequences. It's focusing on that programming of the brain, and it's essential that we do that every day, all right? The second is to eat only when you're physically hungry. It's got to be coming from your stomach. Your body needs to be telling you it needs food, not your mind. Eat whatever you want, because otherwise you crave things and you start becoming obsessed with what you can't eat. Eat slowly so that you actually taste it and savor it and have an experience of it, and that it nourishes you fully. And stop before you're full. Stop when you've had enough. For most of us, when we've had enough is already when we start feeling uncomfortably full. So mine is to actually stop before you're full, because hey, what's the worst that could happen? You could get physically hungry in an hour, and if you're physically hungry, what do? Eat. You're allowed to. Okay, so the worst that can happen if you don't eat enough is you need to eat again, and that's perfectly allowed. Right, so when I put this together, I put a structure into it, I put a strategy in place, and this was the birth of a pilot project, which then turned into a workshop called Your Ideal Body, which was then revised and tweaked and became a workshop to change your habits, and which has ultimately morphed into the Ditch Diets for Good program. The magic moves don't only help us lose weight, they foster a deep connection to and appreciation of our bodies. Past participants say that they're losing weight, they feel free, their health has improved, but best of all, they've been freed from that being trapped in that endless dieting cycle, which gives them short-term success but sets them up for long-term failure. So I would love to invite you to attend the Ditch Diets for Good workshop. I created this workshop to help people empower themselves to break the dieting cycle, right? To become their own health experts. So you can be your own expert and you can learn how to master your relationship with food. And some wonderful side effects include weight loss, increased energy, improved health, a deeper connection to yourself, and the more connected you are to yourself, the more you can connect to those you love. And health and vitality and vibrance has a ripple effect into every single major area of your life. So Ditch Diets for Good is a full-day workshop which includes a workbook containing notes on the theory as well as exercises that help us dig deeply into the material and start that wiring process, that rewiring process of the brain. It also comes with a 30-day Vibrant Health Productivity Planner which helps to track your progress, it helps to give you feedback, it helps to focus, and it actually helps you to keep on doing that rewiring process. And then a bonus section of meal ideas, healthy meal ideas and recipes, none of which you have to cook or eat. They're just there for those who want them. So there are no restrictive eating plans, there are no pills, there are no fancy supplements, there are no meal replacements, and there are no forbidden foods. Most weight loss programs center around food. The Ditch Diet for Goods program, oh, listen to me, the Ditch Diets for Good program centers around you. The theory and exercises in the workbook are designed to rewire your brain so that with a bit of practice, the 5 magic moves become easy to implement and work with every day. But just like everything, if you don't work it, it doesn't work. So that's why on the day we spend a lot of time actually doing the exercises needed to shift your perceptions, change your values, so that by the end of the workshop, you've laid the foundation for the mindset change, which you then reinforce daily when you fill in the Vibrant Health Productivity Planner. And it only takes 20 minutes a day. It takes 21 days of repetition for something to become a habit. So if you do the work, if you do the daily homework, you can master in a month what it's taken me years to discover, learn, and implement. On the day, there'll also be delicious healthy snacks as well as power juices to try so that you can taste for yourself that healthy doesn't have to taste bad. And of course, there's a delicious lunch included as well. And there's a special bowl always with good quality chocolate because there are no forbidden foods. Ditch Diets for Good will help you to discover how to respond to your body's internal signals for food, as well as how to nourish yourself physically, mentally, and emotionally. No foods are forbidden, so there's no desperation, there's no cravings, and best of all, there's no guilt because there can't be any cheating because there's no diet. This is a different way of thinking. It's a shift in your relationship to food, and I know it can be difficult to get your head around because you basically have to unlearn or try and forget everything that you know about health and nutrition. So you can imagine how daunting that was for me. I actually think the unwiring was more difficult than the rewiring, right? But I want you to trust that you will find your own unique path, and with a bit of practice, you'll get the hang of it, and I'll be there to guide you through the process. The fact that there's no diet plan is also somewhat daunting to some people, but just remember, it's diet plans that have set us up for failure in the long term. So instead of having an expert tell you when and what to eat, you become your own expert. The 5 magic moves can be applied no matter what you're doing and no matter where you are. There are no shopping lists, there's no weighing of foods, there's no meal timing, there's no having to have 3 meals a day, there's no you have to have breakfast, there's no you have to fast. There are none of those rules. There is just tuning in to the signals from your body. After more than 20 years in private practice as a homeopath, I finally have a tool that I know can help my patients not only become healthy, but stay healthy. The Ditch Diets for Good program isn't only a non-diet program, it's a health empowerment program. And that's why I'm so excited about it. I know that Ditch Diets for Good won't only change your relationship with food, it'll alter your relationship with yourself. And you know what? Here's a newsflash. The relationship that you have with your body is the longest lasting and most intimate relationship that you will ever have in your life, and it is worth investing in. Speaking of investment, I've had some people tell me that they can't afford the workshop at 1,500 Rand. And while I know that money can be tight, right, I also know that we tend to prioritize our spend where we have a value. So if you have a low value on health, even if I charge 200 or 300 Rand for this workshop, you would probably still think it wasn't worth it. But I'd like you to just consider the following. How much money have you, over your lifetime, spent investing in diet programs, joining slimming clubs, gym memberships, supplements, detox products? Oh, the list goes on and on. And then also I'd like you to consider that 1,500 Rand is probably less than what it costs for a family of 4 to go away for a weekend. Or if you bought a cappuccino every day for 30 days, you'd be spending 1,500 Rand, give or take a couple of Rand. I've spent years, tens of thousands of Rands, gathering the knowledge, implementing it, practicing, refining it in order to join the dots for this workshop. I've tried and failed more times than I would care to admit or that I want to remember. I've done all the legwork for you. If you were going to do this kind of work individually with a coach, it would cost you in excess of 10,000 Rand. And I'm giving you 8 hours of time, personal access to me to ask all your questions so that I can help you also when you get stuck, as well as access to me and ongoing support from like-minded individuals in a closed Facebook group. And all of this for only slightly more than the cost of a 1-hour consultation with me in my practice. If you implement what I teach you, if you use the tools I provide, and if you actually practice the 5 magic moves diligently, you may never need to pay for another weight loss or diet program again. As an added bonus, I'm also giving you 3 1.5-hour recorded presentations where you can delve deeper into nutrition myths, into detoxification, and the mind-body connection. Each of these was recorded live as part of a 10-lecture series. Each presentation is filled with practical tips as well as relaxation and energy techniques to help harmonize body, mind, and spirit. So what is the risk for you? Well, if you can honestly say that you haven't learned anything of value by the time we get halfway into the workshop, and that would be just before lunchtime, I'll gladly refund you your full workshop fee, but I get to keep the material and the bonuses, obviously. What about emotional eating, you may ask? Well, emotions are difficult to manage, especially at the end of a long year with deadlines, family tensions, financial pressure, and the general mayhem that accompanies the festive season. So to help with this, I'm including a special bonus, guided meditation for attendees, which is a 10-minute guided meditation which helps to get you back to your center, and it gives you space to experience and connect with your emotions safely. Doing this process is like letting steam out of a pressure cooker. You know, if you just let the steam out little bits at a time, then you avoid explosions. And emotions, it allows us to actually connect to our emotions and to feel our emotions, because when we don't feel them, when we actually suppress them, they go unconscious, they become unconscious, and that's when they sabotage us when we least expect them, which is sometime around either Christmas Eve dinner, Christmas dinner, or possibly the following day. So if you listen to this guided meditation, it helps you regulate emotional eating. So the other objection that I get is, but Loretta, it's the end of the year. Oh, it's so busy at this time of the year. I'll do it in the new year. Right, okay, so this October workshop is the last one for 2018, and the first one in 2019 will be in February. So do you really want to go through the holiday season stressing about what you can and can't eat, feeling guilty because you're eating forbidden foods, or worried about what it's going to take to actually get back on track in January? Well, do you want to start 2019 with yet another New Year's resolution to get your health on track, only to fall off the wagon by February, which is when you can come to the next workshop? If you attend the workshop on the 27th of October, you could be losing weight, improving your health, ramping up your energy before 2018 even ends. Imagine starting the new year with confidence and energy, being on a new path long before the 1st of January actually comes around. Well, you could be. It's my mission to empower people to become not only the healthiest versions of themselves, but to take their power back, to connect deeply to their bodies, to their intuition, and to become their own health authority. I would love to start a movement of empowered people who can make informed choices based on the innate wisdom that resides within each of us. I believe that your body is the gateway to getting to nourish yourself on all levels, and this workshop is a vehicle to learn how. So in summary, when you register for Ditch Diets for Good, you get the full day workshop, including the workbooks, the Vibrant Health Productivity Planner, the healthy meal ideas and the recipes, the 3 bonuses, which is Nutrition Myths, Ditch Diets for Good, that's the workshop, Nutrition Myths, Detoxification, and the mind-body connection, and the special added bonus of the guided feeling meditation to decrease your risk of emotional eating. All of this great value is included for only 1,500 Rand. So let's start a movement of free, empowered, healthy, and vibrant individuals. What are you waiting for? Register right now by clicking the link above or below this video. It'll take you to the registration page, and you can register right now. Just one last thing before you go. For me, Ditch Diets for Good is the culmination of a lifetime spent searching. It's a product of my life's journey. When I see people struggling with their weight, I know what that feels like. I know what self-loathing feels like when you judge yourself harshly. I know what the shame and guilt feels like when you feel like you failed because you haven't managed to keep it together on your diet. I know what it feels like to cover up how self-conscious you are and your feelings of failure. And I want to tell you, there is a different way. I believe that Ditch Diets for Good is that way. So don't hesitate, don't sabotage, don't procrastinate. Invest in yourself today. Click the link above or below this video and register immediately.